Alright, so we just got done running dumpsters. Clayton told me to meet him at the shop. Let's go see what this guy's up to. What are you doing?
Oh, perfect timing. Are you done running dumpsters?
Yeah.
Good. I need your help.
So did you finally buy a new heater for the shop?
Yeah, you know how you're always complaining about it being cold in the wintertime?
Yeah.
So we're gonna get this thing hung up here. There used to be that old nasty HVAC, barely worked. It was dumping crazy amounts of heat. We already have the gas ran to it, electric ran to it, so we're gonna utilize the same space, but it's gonna keep this place much warmer than it did before.
Are you certified to do this kind of thing?
I'll have a professional come check it afterwards. Of course.
Figured.
OSHA approved. Now we just pray it holds. Well, she's staying up by her own weight, but of course, just like any project I start that's 20 minutes away from a hardware store, I don't have everything I need because I need a smaller fitting for the old gas line. Let's be honest, I actually don't know what I'm doing. We're just putting things up and hoping it works later. This is my favorite part of the whole heater thing. We're going to be able to actually warm the shop up before we even get here. That is going to be a game changer. Don't have to worry about getting here waiting for it to warm up. It's just gonna fire up from home and start blasting this place. But let's talk about why I'm dumping all this time and money into the shop and other aspects of the business right before the end of the year. Let's talk about something that's not discussed enough between other blue collar guys. So, taxes. Taxes can absolutely devastate your business. Ask me how I know. A few years back, I did not plan ahead well enough, and my CPA handed a piece of paper across the desk and said, "This is what you're gonna owe." Because I wasn't prepared for that, it eliminated every bit of cash that I had in order just to pay the IRS, and it left me in such a delicate situation that if anything else went wrong at the beginning of the year, it would have absolutely crippled my business because I had very, very little operating cash to run off of in case of emergencies. This year I did my best to plan ahead. So it's a few months before the end of the year. I went into my accountant and I said, here's what we got. Here's what I did all year. Here's what I think the next couple of months are gonna look like. Tell me how bad it is. It was still really, 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 really bad. But here's the thing, this is a first world problem. It could be the exact opposite. I could owe nothing to the government because I didn't make any money. The good thing is the business did really well. The bad thing with that is how I operated throughout the year as the business was doing well. Yes, we got more dumpsters, so we got a little bit of stuff that we could write off. But it was a good year where overhead wasn't crazy. I did sell a piece of real estate, and of course, dumpsters just did really well in general this year. So let's set the scene here. Business did really well in terms of the dumpsters, and I sold a piece of real estate. So that is all income. I didn't offset that cost with a whole lot of equipment or a whole lot of dumpsters, what I would typically do. Because the business was flowing, there wasn't really a need for it originally. So what do? I turn around and I take all that extra cash that I had been earning and I pay down a massive amount of debt. I'm telling you that I paid down nearly everything I owed in the business and my personal life outside of a couple of my real estate properties. So there was no debt on the business, no debt in my personal life either. Got rid of student loans, car loans, the whole thing. That's awesome. But that's not a write-off. The IRS does not care. So if I took all that money I was earning to pay off that debt, I still owe the government the percentage they want for the money I did make. But now I have no cash because I spent it on my previous debt. Stick with me. So in that case, what do? You don't necessarily have the cash to hand it to the IRS. You don't necessarily have the cash to go buy stuff to write off. In the tax code, there is section 179. It's probably the most commonly used thing when somebody gets put into this position where they need to depreciate a lot of their income all at once. Section 179 essentially lets you buy a truck and write 100% of it off on your taxes the year you put it into service. Well, I got another truck. Let's just be clear though, I am not your tax accountant and there are multiple situations where this would not work, but in my situation, it does. This truck is over 6,000 pounds. It'll primarily be used for my business. So I can write off 100% of it this year, the year that I bought it. But did I really buy it if I didn't pay cash for it like I normally would? No, I had to take out a loan because I didn't have the cash up front, or if I did have the cash, I wasn't gonna use it all on one purchase and then put myself into a bad situation. So what happens here is I now took out a bank loan so I could essentially write off 100% of this truck off on my taxes, but I still have to pay that truck back. So I will owe X amount of dollars less on my taxes because this will be put into service this year. But with that, now I have to pay it back. This is where it gets you into that tricky situation where, well, now if I write off 100% of it this year and then I gotta pay it back, I can't write it off next year. So there are options where you can space it out over X amount of years and depreciate only a portion of it this year. In my case, I need to depreciate the whole thing and then some. But this is that sticky situation that I've already put myself in before. I took on a lot of debt, I paid it all down, I depreciated that stuff off my taxes, and now we're right back to that again. So I'm trying to play this a little bit more careful rather than end up with like 5 or 6 things like that. I really only want 1 or 2 at a time. That way I'm not always fighting this constant battle. So I'm not just gonna go out and buy a whole lot of equipment and just write all that off because I don't wanna buy equipment I don't necessarily need. I actually do need this truck and we'll get into that later. And I'm also going down to Texas soon to pick up another trailer so we have 1 primary trailer and 1 backup. The trailer we have now, we've put a lot of use into it, so we're gonna kind of make that our backup, get a new one, that way we can drop dumpsters and feel confident that everything's working. But again, I don't wanna go buy a whole lot of equipment I don't need. I would love to have a bigger mini excavator. I'd love to have a man lift. I'd love to have all these things. But do I really need them this minute? Probably not. So instead, I'm gonna spread some of that love into capital improvements. So like this HVAC unit that we're putting into the shop. I can write that off. There are other things that we're gonna write off inside of the shop that because of bonus depreciation and qualified improvements within inside of the shop, inside the interior walls actually, it allows me to write that stuff off as well. Don't quote me exactly, but I think this is somewhere around section like 168 where this kind of all falls into play, where I can make certain capital improvements on the shop interior wise that then I can write 100% off in the year that it is put in service. In other aspects of business, like rental property, that's not always the case, but this is a commercial space used for my business. So that's where this kind of differentiates from the rental property. With rental property, I'd have to typically write off any improvements over the course of like 27 years, unless I get into a cost segregation study, which is a totally another ballgame. We can talk about that another time. But unless it's like a repair that can be written off in 1 year at a rental property, most improvements I do are spread between like 27 years. Feel free to hit the comments here and challenge anything I'm saying because not every situation is gonna be the same. This might not make sense to you in your situation. So don't be afraid to challenge me if you know more than I do because I'm not gonna present any of this as fact. I'm just telling you what I'm doing. Of course, as we have all the renovations going on, we've got Trevor here working on my baby truck. Okay, so is this going to be done tomorrow or what?
Yeah, we'll have it done tonight.
Oh, really?
No.
Okay. Do you have any tax tips for the audience?
Taxes are theft.
Well, yeah, that's actually fact. Of course, we have the 12 valve swap that Trevor is hammering out into the F750. It's getting there, I promise you. Let's go into the next thing that we did to the shop to make some improvements. Now, this one might have made my wife a little mad because this shower truly looks better than anything in my house. But the cool thing is, 100% write-off. Here's the deal. This is a pretty bougie shower for this shop, I'll be honest. But I figured buy once, cry once. I only wanted to do this one time. And the theory is, you know, on these nights that we're here working late on things like Betty White or equipment that needs to be repaired, some days that's a 2 a.m. thing. And the last thing I want to do is have to drive all the way home. Then still when I get home, I got to shower, got to get cleaned up. Nah, keep a change of clothes in the truck, shower right here, get home, nice and comfy, crawl in the bed, call it a night. And that's a happy wife, happy life situation. Last thing I want to be doing is coming home at 2 a.m. and, making a ruckus. But that used to be another bathroom. For whatever reason, we had 2 bathrooms. Now, over here, we're tearing this one up as well, and we're gonna go ahead and get it all nice and plumbed in correctly. It used to be just an absolute mess in here. Toilet didn't really work very well, sink didn't work very well. Had a hot water over here. It was deteriorating. I mean, look at this thing. Yeah, it wasn't gonna be doing anything. So the floor is going to get painted in here. Hot water heater will end up in here. We're going to redo all the walls and, of course, have a new sink. So everything's functional and just more comfortable. Hopefully it will last quite a while. So everything I'm talking about so far are things that can be written off on this commercial space 100% without doing a cost segregation study. Go ahead and look into cost segs because they are a wild thing if you're in the real estate industry. But it's not something I'm trying to tackle right now. It is a whole other ball game. So I'm focusing on the things I can take care of this minute. So this is kind of a twofer. We actually raised the ceiling here because it was putting too much pressure on this outside wall and was causing this to bow out. It was a very long-term problem, but it seemed to be getting worse as I own the property. So we lifted it, supported the ceiling. That way we could pull the wall back in a hair. And then from there, we repaired the outside as well. This is what that side of the shop would have looked like before, but now we've got this nice, beautiful metal that'll eventually be on all sides of the shop. But this one was the priority because that metal was starting to buckle as that wall was leaning out. So we just kind of took all of that off, opened up the entire wall so we could see what we were working with, and then installed this instead. And it looks so much better. We need to get this corner piece in for now just to make it through the winter. But outside of that, this wall is done, and that would be considered a repair. But rather than just have these posts sitting here, what we've now done is we've tied the wall in so it can't move again, and we're then going to make this some lofted storage. So we could actually get our buckets up there, our forks up there. We can get a lot of stuff off the ground. I can take any wood that I have and we can actually start categorizing it and keeping it up here for future projects. That way we're not returning 1 or 2 pieces when we know we're gonna use them again. So these are a few things I'm doing to bring down that taxable income because at the end of the day, guys, I'm not telling you to defy the government, but if I give all of this money back to the government that I made, it makes it really hard to grow the business. So this code is written for you to take advantage of it. You just need to know how. So you don't always have to turn around and pay them, but you need to plan ahead in order to avoid it. One year I did not plan ahead and instead I just thought I was good. Turned out I was not good and I paid them so much that I could have bought a new truck and then some. And that really hurt because at the time I needed a truck. I really did. And some of you guys might be like, Clayton, why did you get another truck? Well, I need it because we're hoping to add one more guy to the team full time and he'll need a truck to drive around in too. If you guys follow the channel, you know all about our old 2nd gen. It's been a pretty reliable truck, but we might be turning it into a service truck so somebody can use it when they need it. I just want you to put yourself in my shoes if you've been following the channel for a while. Imagine if we had a mechanic on tap whenever we needed it for when things go wrong. A lot of the times you guys see these videos and normally, it's something going wrong. I'm running out an hour outside of my way to go help Keegan with something, but I should be working on a demo or taking care of a tenant's problem at their apartment. I'm getting pulled in too many directions and I'm wearing too many hats. It's time to take some of those off. And let's be honest, if we had somebody that was working on all of our equipment all the time, we'd avoid a lot of the problems because we wouldn't be reactive anymore. We'd be proactive. And maybe that 12 valve would make hitting the Betty White even faster. I'm not promising anything yet, guys. I'm trying to figure out some details. I want people to want to work for us, not feel like they have to. So another thing with all of this I'm talking about in terms of tax planning, get creative, because if you find yourself in this situation like I did where, all of a sudden I don't have as much cash as I normally did, or I don't want to use all my cash in case I do need it in a pinch, you have to get creative and add more revenue to the business. Familiarize yourself with 0% interest credit cards. They are a game changer. You typically get 18 months, 0% interest. So if you need to go spend $10,000 to avoid that tax bill, go buy your equipment with that 0% interest credit card. You have 18 months to essentially pay it off. That is free money to build your business a little bit more, get equipment that you actually need for it, and then turn around, you have 18 months to take care of that problem. I've done some pretty creative things in the past with 0% interest credit cards just in order to grow the business, buy something that I think I need, pay it off over the course of a year. That way I don't owe, a bank any interest. It was a really easy way to grow aspects of my business. I have one right now that doesn't have a balance. It might be used in this exact situation. Might end up with, 1 or 2 attachments, whether that's, for the mini or the skid. We might use something, but I'm not just going to buy one to buy one. And again, be careful. Don't just go buy something to buy something. We might use that credit card actually to go buy that secondary trailer we need, so we have a backup at all times. So we're not disappointing customers because we can't get them, a dumpster on time because, one truck's getting worked on and the other truck isn't capable of moving a dumpster. So think through these decisions before you just go spend money and, find out, oh no, that thing that I bought, I can't write off on my taxes the way I thought. Now you don't have any cash. Now you're in debt and you can't pay your taxes. Imagine that mess. Again, don't take everything I said as fact. There are aspects of this that are not going to be applicable to some of you, but in our situation, I do know we can also add in security gating. We can add in cameras. We can add in lighting. That is the exterior of the building. Typically, structured improvements are not going to be a 100% write-off year one that they're put in service. But there's other things as well. If you need concrete at your shop, believe that's one that can be used. That security gate, that would be really good for this spot. And it is kind of one of those things on my list that if I got to do it the last second, I got to do it because, we got storage units. We're going to be adding more of them. Those are things that aren't written off typically all at once in 1 year. So when I built that, that was spread out over multiple years. Again, there are ways around that. Cost segregation, I keep dropping that out, but I'm not going that route yet. There's a lot we can do out here though to continue to bring that tax bill down, but also improve the business. Here's another big one. We got this truck, but we got tools that we keep in all of our trucks. And if I've got a mechanic on standby, he's gonna need toolboxes in the shop, in the truck. I actually just got Keegan a new toolbox for his truck because he was using a plastic bin before. Toolbox. So that's another one. You can load up on tools that you need for your business, typically 100% written off. New air compressor for the shop? Yeah, we probably need one. I mean, that thing is terrifying. Write it off. I can't really sit here and go through like a list of a million things that you could essentially write off, in year one in order to avoid paying a significant amount of taxes, because each situation is going to be a little different and how it's interpreted is different as well. So you really, really got to be smart with that. Do your research before you just start buying stuff. But these are the things that I am approaching right now. These are the things I'm considering because I've got 2 months to take care of this problem before I got to write that check to the IRS. I fully intend on probably still having to write a little bit, but I need to bring down that liability as much as possible. Instead of talking about taxes the whole time, let's go help Trevor with that truck. Whoa. Scary. Scale of 1 to 10 on the sketch level.
I'd give it a solid 6.5.
Yeah, might have had too much weight on one side there. Just a little bit. All right, y'all. I think that is a perfect spot to end this. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow, hype this video up. We'll see you in one of the next ones. Hopefully soon. Betty White has a new heart with a little pacemaker in her. She's looking good. We'll catch you next time. Hit that subscribe button.